Okay, so in this episode of Cars and Engineering, I'm going to be fitting some wheel spacers and a stud nut kit. Stay tuned. Now, as I said in the intro, we're going to be fitting some 15mm spacers today from PCD Custom Design. They're on eBay, it's not sponsored or anything like that. But I've also got some studs and a nut kit as well. This is purely for the front right now. I'm going to get some more from the rear when I can acquire them. Anyway, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a 5mm Allen socket to go at the middle of the actual stud itself. I recommend an impact gun, a drill, I've got a torch, a socket to get the wheels off, torque wrench to torque up the studs themselves, some green Loctite, brake cleaner, some sandpaper and some wire wheels, and of course some jack stands and a nickel jack. Now the question is, why would you want to do this? First of all, these are needed to space the wheel out further. They sit behind the wheel, between the hub and the wheel, to space it out. The reason why that is a thing, that's why that's needed, is because some Porsche 986 calipers will be going on the vehicle soon and they will not fit in this gap here. As you can see, these are the standard factory calipers. They've had their time, they've gone a little bit pink now where they've got a bit too hot, I believe, and just general abuse and wear and tear. But it also widen the track of the vehicle so the tyre will sit 15mm either side further out, so there's a 3cm or 30mm gap to make the actual wheels sit out wider from the car, so it increases the front track of the vehicle, so therefore it kind of gives more grip. There's a lot of debates on it, but in my opinion it does give a little bit more grip. Still got some rain sport fires on here and the Royals. They're really good in the wet, not so good in the hot. But going slightly off topic, there's not much else to do other than jack up the vehicle, get some axle stands underneath it, get up in the air, get the wheels off, and then we can clean the surfaces and repair the hubs and the studs.
I need help, I'm going through hell. I fake like I'm fine, but I know you can't tell. Like nothing I found, my mind overwhelms. I think that I'm broken, but I hope you can't help. I know I'm not perfect, but some days I feel far more worthless. Baby, you make me feel nervous. If I still have you, I have purpose. It's all worth it.
Right, so now the vehicle is up in the air and safely on jacks both sides, or axle stands both sides. The jack's still the other side as a sort of third measure of precaution. We've now got to take the wheel bolts out, get the wheel off, clean the hub up, and then we can go from there. Locking wheel nut out. So that's all four cracked off. I'm going to use a gun to get them off and then go to the other side and do the same. So there are all the wheel bolts removed. Let's tyre off. Right, so as you can see here, this is the hub itself. Obviously, this is the brake disc, this is the standard brake caliper and pads. They are right down low, so again, the Porsche brakes are needed, but to fit the Porsche brakes, we need this, which is a wheel spacer. Now this goes over here and goes on like that. Now normally what you can do is you can just put the alloy on, get a 15mm longer, like standard wheel bolt, so it'll be exactly like this, but 15mm longer. It'll go through there and do up, and then it'll obviously space the wheel out 15mm each side for an overall of 30mm. But that's not what we're doing today. What we're doing today is we are obviously fitting the wheel spacers themselves, but also going to be doing a stud and a nut conversion. So this is a stud. The stud goes in like this. Sits off like that. And then the spacer goes on. And then the wheel goes on top of that. And then you have a nut that then goes on top of that. So this is a stud, nut, wheel spacer conversion. Now, before we do any of that, what we need to do is remove this, put it somewhere safe. Right, so what we need to do is get rid of all this corrosion on this face so it's perfectly flat. That's why you're going to need some sandpaper. I think I've got 400, 600. I've got a little wire brush, and I've also got a big wire brush. And I've also got a drill right over here. Right, so it's probably about as clean as it's going to get, for now anyway. Give it a good blast of brake cleaner. I'm also going to be cleaning out the threads themselves, so that when these studs go in, there's a nice clean face here, and a nice clean face or thread when you get inside. Right, so I'm going to be cleaning up them as well. I'm going to let them dry, and then use some green Loctite to get them into the actual hub itself. Right, so now that's all clear, that's all dry. I'm going to use some green Loctite, not too much, just enough to sort of coat one of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a second one. Do the same. And what I like to do, I like to roll the threads into each other, so it gives a nice coverage in all of them.
Try to stay strong and fake a smile.
And then them two are ready to be threaded into the hub itself. Just finger tight for now.
I know you told your friend.
I can do the same on the next three, ready for talking up.
Strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade.
So again, what you want to do is now talk these up before they go off. Now every kit will probably be different. This kit says 20 Newton meters, so that's what I'm going to do it to. There's one, there's two, three, 4, 5. Lastly, number 5. I'm going to go around one more time to double check. Right, so that's all 5 in and torqued up. I can remove my little Allen key now to stop it from moving. So now the principle is you've got 2 flat surfaces between here and there. Just got to slowly tap it on. It's clearly a tight fit. Right, so these are now a bigger size anyway. These are now 19mm bolts. The standard VW are 17. So just going to get this on there, making sure it's all good. There's no discrepancies with the threads. It's still pretty good. They're on, so now I can remove these again, put the wheel on, do the wheel up, and then that is the spacer and stud fitted. Now there's something quite important to remember if you're doing this. Don't over tighten these studs. They are 20 to 30 newton meters from what I've been told for this kit. Follow the instructions from your kit. If you're in any doubt, email the company you bought them from and they will give you a torque spec, because obviously you don't want these coming undone because these are now holding your wheels on. Second thing is the actual nut themselves, the nuts themselves or the bolts themselves. On the nut, this is a radius seat, same as the factory ones. They're a radius sort of dome. If you've got the chamfered edge, you need to order the appropriate nuts for the wheel. Most VW anyway come with sort of the radius sort of seated nut, which is what I've got here to replace it. But if you got a chamfered and you put a radius in it, you're going to have trouble even the wheel coming off. So you need to be very careful with what you order, and you need to know what you're on about, or this could be very dangerous. Right, so now we can roll the wheel back in, put it on, torque it up, and that is this side done.
But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to grey.
Now see how much easier it makes it. Putting the wheel back on, you can just let it drop because it's sitting on the studs themselves. They're not going to go anywhere. I recommend as well, what I did off camera is I made sure the hub fit inside the back of the wheel. I'll show you in a minute on the other wheel, but for this one, I'm just going to get it on, see how it looks, and go from there. So you can see the wheel's on. It obviously sits further out from the vehicle because we've increased the track by 15mm. You can see there's a lot more space behind the actual wheel itself or beyond the spoke. So then when we want the Porsche brakes on there, they will fit nice and neatly and nice and snugly. Right, so before I torque that up, I'm going to go to the other side, drop the car down, torque everything up, and then we can go from there. Right, so this is what I mean by making sure it fits. Because you've got this spigot that hangs off, you need to make sure it fits in there and doesn't get stuck or damaged. And it sits against that face there, nice and flush. And that is making sure that is the right hub for this wheel, or the right spacer, as I should say. Right, so all that's left to do now is to torque up the wheels to the manufacturer's torque, which is for these 120 newton meters, but I do them a little bit tighter, so put about 130. And other than that, that's it really. You can see how they step a little bit further out from the wheel arch. Again, there's a lot more space between the wheel and the actual caliper itself. Other than that, let's torque them up and then we'll have a little chat.
It's you fade away.
Right, so that is the wheel spacer just inside there. These are the nuts. Now one downside is you can't use a locking wheel nut. I think you can get locking wheel nut studs. I will look into that, but seeing as this car now lives most of its life in a garage, and the only time it goes out is when I'm either doing track days in it, things like that now. It's not too much of an issue. These aren't very desirable wheels either. These are 4Motion wheels of a Mark 4 Gold, sorry, because they're 5x100. There are upcoming videos of me refurbishing the Monzas. They've been in my garage for a long time now. They're again another project that's been on hold for various delays, things like that. People saying they will blast them for me, get them sorted. I've offered money to people, and at the moment no one really seems to be interested in blasting wheels. So I'm gonna have to probably do them manually. Again, it's not ideal, but I'll get it done. Anyway, we'll stop rambling. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.